Are you an aspirant of SLST 2025? Are you feeling very much nervous, shaky, or a confusing moment? Are you going through in a dilemma or in time difficulties in that particular period of time? After, especially after the completion of full syllabus, one information is overlapping on another one. Don't worry. Our dear sir, Abhishek Barman, is providing to you one of the most important historical classes because this class is only the remedy, only one solution at this particular moment when you are going through the confusion of regarding different kind of information, especially date of composition, publication, type, rhyme scheme of the poem, different very crucial information regarding the poetry, and at the same time birth year, place, death place, etc. of the poets. This only class will completely clear your doubt or confusion or any kind of difficulties for that particular period of time. This class is going to deal with this kind of valuable informations, and if you get printout of this class, and if you design this printout one after another, first poetry, second poetry, third poetry, in this way, same frame, then the differences will be very much crystal clear to you. This is the only prescription. This is the only way to get out or get rid of from this kind of difficulties. Let's go. And I already told you that this golden class is brought to you by our dear channel sir, Abhishek Barman. So let's go. First poetry, Loving in Truth. This is Sonnet 1 from Astrophil and Stella. This is also another question regarding this poem, Loving in Truth. The name of the poet, of course, Sir Philip Sidney. Sir Philip Sidney is the poet of the poem Loving in Truth. Birth 30th December, November 1854, Winchurch, Kent, England. Death 17th October 1586, Arnhem, Netherlands. Now, composed. This poem was composed in circa 1582. This poem was published in 1582. Now published. This poem was published in posthumously published, and it was published in the year 1591. Next, rhyme scheme of the poem, very important. This is the topic, this is the point, which is very much confusing. Most of the students normally feel impasse or difficulties the rhyme scheme. Don't worry, this class will completely eradicate your problem. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A B A B A B A B C D C D E E. And now, type of the poem is Elizabethan sonnet, love sonnet, person influenced lyric poetry. These are the information regarding the type of the poem. All these options, all these points are not set in the same question. And if it's set in your question, then your right answer should be, first choice should be Elizabethan sonnet. These are the very important information regarding the poem Loving in Truth. Okay, this should be printed out by you and set or fixed in a board for one. Number two, one day I wrote her name upon the strand. Again, one day I wrote her name upon the strand. The poet Edmund Spenser. Edmund Spenser is the poet of the poem One Day I Wrote Her Name Upon the Strand. And now, birth 1552, London, England. He was born in England, London, in the year 1552. And now, 13 January 1599, London, England. Once again, he was died in England, London, the capital city of England, London, 1599, 13 January. And now, composed, poem was composed in 1594 and then published in 95. Then, the rhyme scheme of the poem is ABAB, BCB, sorry, BCBC, CDCDEE. Now, type of the poem, Elizabethan sonnet, love sonnet, lyric poetry. These are the information. One of these three information can be set in your exam. And if three options are available in the same question, then you should choose first Elizabethan sonnet. These are the very, very important information regarding the poem. One day I wrote her name on the strand. It's poetry. And the second poetry, you should fix this information in the next page. And the same in the same board, but in the just after this first one, and then third poem is, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? We all know that is the first line of the sonnet 18. Sonnet number 18. The first line is the title of the sonnet 18. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Of course, the writer of the sonnet, William Shakespeare. The birth and birth year, birthplace, birth date, and the birth and the nationality. 23rd April 1564, Stratford upon Avon, Warwickshire, England. Now birth, and this is the birth and death. 23rd April, very, very amazing and funny and also informative. Same date and same month. 23rd April, 1616, Stratford upon Avon, same place, England. And now, this poem was composed in 1593 to 1595. This is the information, very, very authentic. This was the information regarding this poem. Shall I compare this Day? I mentioned this type of 1593 to 1595. You should keep in mind. Okay? Now published 1609, 16 and 09. And the rhyme scheme of the poem A B A B C D C D E F E F C Z. The type of the poem is Elizabethan sonnet or Shakespearean sonnet or lyric poetry. Most of the sonnets are regarded. Most of the sonnets of William Shakespeare is also regarded as the Shakespearean sonnet, but in some extent, his sonnets can be classified in the Elizabethan sonnet. Next question, next poetry, the Good Tomorrow. The Good Tomorrow. Okay, the name of the poet is John Donne. John Donne, birth 22nd January 1572, London, England, and death 31st March 1631, London, England. The poem was composed in 1595 to 1600. Once again, 1595 to 1600. Published 1633. It was published in 1633. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A B A B C C C in each of the three stanzas. Very, very important, this information. The type of the poem is metaphysical poem, love lyric, or Ovid or morning song. Especially this poem is regarded as metaphysical poem tomorrow. And next poem is Versu. Next poem is Versu. The poet is George Herbert. Birth 3rd April 1593. Montgomery Walls. Once again, 3rd April 1593, Montgomery Walls. Next, death, 1st March 1633, Bomerton, Wiltshire, England. And this poem was composed in 1620 to 1630. Next, this poem was published 1633, and rhyme scheme of the poem is A B A B, and then poem is religious, lyric, or devotional poem, or metaphysical poem. These are valuable information regarding this poem. Lots of question can be saved from this information. Now, next poem is The Rape of the Lock, Cantos 1 and 2. This is also important information. And now, name of the poet is Alexander Pope. And then birth, 21st May 1688, London, England. Death, 30 May 1744, uh, Whiteham, Middlesex, England. And now, composed Canto 1 and 2, original version was composed in 1712, and now it was published in first two cantos version 1712. 1712. Next, the rhyme scheme of the poem is A A B B C C D D. Very funny and very amazing. And now, type of the poem is mock epic, satirical narrative poem, or heroic comical poem. Next, next poem is The Tiger. The name of the poet is William Blake. Birth 28th November 1757, London, England, and 12th August 1822, 27, London, England. Next, composed. This poem was composed 1793 and it was published 1794. Rhyme scheme of the poem is AABB in rhyming couplets. And now, type of the poem is lyric poem or symbolic poem or philosophical poem. And now, next poem is The Lamb, the same writer as Lamb, William Blake, of course, birth same and death also same. And now, composed, this was composed in 1788 to 1789. And next poem topic is published, this poem was published 1789. And rhyme scheme of the poem is first stanza AABB, second stanza AABB, CCDDAA. Once again, first stanza rhyming scheme is AABB, second stanza AABB, CCDDAA. And now, type of the poem is pastoral lyric, religious allegory, or children's verse. Next poem is Tintern Away. Tintern Away, the name of the poet is William Wordsworth. And now, birth. William Wordsworth was 7th April 1770. Mouth, Cumberland, England. Next, death, 23rd April 1850, Rydal Mount, Westmoreland, England. And now, composed, was composed on 13 July 1798. Once again, Tinton Abbey was composed 13 July 1798. And next question, published. Published, it was published in 1798, same year. Now, rhyme scheme of the poem is blank verse. Very, very important, blank verse. Type of the poem is lyrical or philosophical or nature poem. And now, next question is Christabel. Christabel name of the poet is Samuel Taylor Coleridge, S.T. Coleridge. And now, Coleridge's birth and birthplace or birth date of birth is 21st October 1772, Pottery Saint Mary, Devon, England. All this information is very important. One any question where Devon option. If you don't have if you don't have such kind of information in written or in the documentary, then you will definitely will wrong. That's why these are the very important informative information, and you should print it out and it side by side all the poetry. Next, death, 25th July 1834. Highgate, London, England. Now, this poem was composed in part 1, 1797, part 2, 1800. Very interesting. First part of the poem was composed in 1797, and the next part of the part 2 was 1800, and next published in 1816. And then rhyme scheme of the poem is there is no fixed rhyme scheme of this poem, Christabel. And then type of the poem is romantic or gothic narrative poem. Once again, romantic or gothic narrative poem. And next poetry is Ullah Khan. Ullah Khan is also the same poet is Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Birth and death are same, birthplace same, death year same. And now compose this poem Khan was composed in 1797 and then published it was 1816. And then rhyme scheme of the poem is the poem has irregular rhyme schemes. Now type of the poem is romantic, visionary or fragmentary lyrical poem. Once again, romantic, visionary or fragmentary lyrical poem. And then my last dresses, very, very important poem. The name of the poet is Robert Browning. Robert Browning is the poet of the poem My Last Dresses. Birth 7th May 1812, Camberwell, London, England. And birth and date now, 12 December 1889, Venice, Italy. Once again, Robert Browning was died on 12th December 1889, Venice, Italy, or Italy. Now, this poem was composed 1842 and published in 1842. And rhyme scheme of the poem is heroic couplets, very, very important. The rhyme scheme of the poem, My Last Assess, is heroic couplets. Next, the type of the poem is dramatic monologue, mainly dramatic monologue. This question, this information can be set in your options: psychological portrait or narrative poem. Basically, this is dramatic monologue. And next poet is the Hollow Men. Hollow Men, very modern poetry. The writer of the poem is Thomas Stearns Eliot, T.S. Eliot, or Thomas Stearns Eliot. Full name of the poet T.S. Eliot is Thomas Stearns Eliot. And the birth of Thomas Eliot, T.S. Eliot is 26 September 1888, Saint Louis, Missouri, USA. Now, death 4th January 1965, London, England, and last post 1925, and then published 1925. Same year, the Holoman was composing and publishing year is same 1925. And the rhyme scheme of the poem is there is no consistent rhyme scheme throughout the poem. Once again, there is no consistent rhyme scheme throughout the poem, the Hollow Man. Then type of the poem is modernist poem, three words, symbolic or fragmented monologue. Basically, this poem, the Hollow Man, is modernist poem. And then Ode to the West Wind, very, very important poetry of course, C.V. Shelley or P.V. Shelley. The birthplace and birth year is 4th was 1792, Sussex, England. 8th, 8th July 1822 near Lirici, Italy. And then composed, the poem Ode to the Western was composed in 1819 and then published 1820. And rhyme scheme, the type of the poem is printed quote. Once again, the Western is printed quote, important information. And the rhyme scheme of the poem is A B A B C B C D C T E D E E. And then to a Skylark, also the same writer, P.B. Shelley, and also the birth year and everything is same as like Tolstoy and date also the same. And now composed. Stuart Skylark was composed June 1820, very, very important. June 1820, published 1820, and the type of the poem is lyric poem. It is ode, and plus the species or the genre of ode is lyric poem, and the rhyme scheme of the poem is ABABB. Once again, ABABB. Now, to a nightingale. What Ode to a Nightingale is? Whose writer is John Keats, the one of the most famous poets in English literature. John Keats, birth 31st October 1795, London, England. Death 23rd February 1821, Rome, Italy, and then post May 1819, then please July 1819. Then type of the poem is ode, romantic ode. Well, it is definitely ode. It is a romantic ode. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A B A B C T E C. And then next poem is To Autumn. Also the same poet, John Keats. Part is same, it is same, and what is different is that composing year September 1819, the poem Ode to Autumn was published, composed, and it was published just after the composing year, that is 1820. The poem Ode to Autumn was composed September 1819 and it was published 1820. And then type of the poem is definitely purely an ode. And then the rhyme scheme of the poem is first stanza A B A B C D E C C C E. Second stanza, A B A B C D E C D D E. Third stanza, A B A B C D E C D D E. This important information is very much crucial because almost this is completely unique rhyme scheme than the other poetry. Next poem is Ulysses. Writer is of course Alfred Lord Tennyson. And then birth 6th August 1809 summers by Lincolnshire, England, and death 6th October 1892, Luxall, Sussex, England, and composed October 1833 and published 1842. And then poem is dramatic monologue, and the rhyme scheme of the poem is unrhymed iambic pentameter. Once again, Ulysses, the rhyme scheme of the poem Ulysses is unrhymed iambic pentameter. Again, this poem is The Wild Swans at Pool. The Wild Swans at Pool. The name of the poet is William Butler Yeats, W.B. Yeats. Full name of the abbreviation of W.B. Yeats is William Butler Yeats. And the birth 13th June 1865, Dublin, Ireland. Once again, 13th June 1865, Dublin, Ireland. Death 28th January 1939, Benton, France. Once again, 28th January 1939, Benton, France. Now, composed. The poem The Wild Swans at Pool was composed in 1916 and published 1917. The poem The Wild Swans at Pool was published in 1917. Type of the poem is lyrical poem or lyric poem. And then rhyme scheme of the poem is A B C D D E. Next poem is Strange Meeting. Very, very important poem, Strange Meeting. Of course, the poet of the poem is Wilfred Wayne. Wilfred Wayne, but 18 March 1893, Stavati, Westray, Shropshire, England, and death 4th November 1918, Chambord, Wesley Canal, France. England, France. Next, composed 1918. The poem was written March 18, sorry, the poem was composed 1918. That is the ending of the almost the ending of the First World War, and it was published 1919, ending the First World War. And now, type of the poem is dramatic monologue or anti-war poem. Dramatic monologue can be said or used in this one regarding this poem, and of course, this is a genuine anti-war poem. Will be said in your question. You should choose. I'm providing both this information regarding this poem so that you will not face any kind of difficulty. And next way rhyme scheme of the poem is in heroic couplets. That is A A B B C C D D. These are the these are the invaluable information regarding the poetry, specially designed for the candidates who are taking preparation for class 11 and 12. That is tomorrow, just at 8 p.m. Such kind of information and other information regarding regarding drama, short story, novel, and essay will be provided to you tomorrow at 8 p.m. If you if you are enjoying, if you are benefited by this information, by this channel, please do subscribe and share with your friend, and stay tuned for the regular grammar mock test and most important classes for class 9 to 12. Day after tomorrow, I will provide to you most important mock test on riders to the sea. The most important questions, at least 40 questions, will be set, which will be very, very important for the upcoming exam 2025. Goodbye.